So let's go.
Hi, welcome to Peace Donkeys. Today I'm going to show you how to make these grocery bags for shopping at the supermarket. And they're just made out of old stock feed bags like pellet, layer pellets or horse pellets, guinea pig, whatever bags you happen to have. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take your bag and you want to get a pair of scissors and just cut off. See where the stitching is that they've already done. We just want to cut that off along the bottom. And it's really personal preference how big or small you want your bag to be. If you're carrying heavy things like cans, you don't want a really big bag, you want a small bag like this one. If you're carrying things like gummy paper or tissues and chips, a bigger bag like that's quite okay. So we cut off the bottom and then we're going to turn the bag inside out. What you're going to do is you're going to get the fold on each side just to make sure that you've got it in the right position. And as you can see, I've just cut that a bit wobbly, so I'm just going to straighten that up. You can get really precise with this if you want to, or you can just be fairly rough like I'm doing today. And then I usually like to, where the hole marks are from the other stitching at the top, I also like to cut that off as well, because I think that just makes the bag a bit weak. So I just go below there, or you can go again wherever you feel you'd like to go. I might go just halfway between the lines and the writing. So as you can see, these are the woven type bags, they're not the stretchy plastic bags. And these are really, really strong for groceries. In the past, I have actually made the handles out of the same material of the bag by cutting off a piece and then folding it over and making handles. But today, I'm actually just going to use some webbing. So I've just got 20-inch pieces of webbing that I'm going to use for the handles. You can also use fabric. So in this bag, I just used a piece of fabric, which is nice and soft on your hands. But this is much quicker because you don't have to fold over and stitch handles. Okay, so what we want to do next is we're just going to sew the bottom of the bag together. So wherever you feel you'd like to do it, usually about a centimetre. We'll just stitch along there. So we'll go ahead and do that with the machine. I'll turn that off now. Okay, so we're just going to take this bag and we're just going to stitch along the bottom. So and again, just make sure you've got the corners, the edges completely even, because you don't want a lopsided bag. So we'll just go ahead and stitch that. I'm just using ordinary thread. In the past I have bought some really expensive strong thread, but it just got really, really bunched up on the line, and I have found that just ordinary cotton sewing thread works just as effective as the other thread. But I will stitch this seam probably twice, so I do it once that way, then I turn it over and then stitch it the other way as well. Okay, so what you want to do next is you want to put your hand inside the bag, into the corner. And what you're going to do, okay, so this is the side seam of the bag, and this is the bottom that I've just sewn. So you want the side seam to be matched up with the bottom part. And what you're going to do is you're going to, now you can make this seam as big or as small as you want. I like to do it around about 6 inches. So I'm not sure if you can see that 6 inches there. And so what I do is I get a texter, and just where the tape measure is, just very roughly, just draw a little dotted line. Just a little dotted line there so I can see where I want to stitch. Okay, so I'll stitch along that line there, and that just gives the bottom of your bag a little bit of flatness on the bottom. Okay, so now that you've done your 2 triangles on either side, you can see how that's kind of got like a little box shape, and it just helps the bag to sit flat. So when you've got groceries, it just helps them to have a little shape on the bottom. So the next thing you want to do is you're going to fold over the edges, the top of your bag, around about 1 inch or whatever you feel like doing. Then you're going to get your handles. So in this case I'm just using 20 inches of webbing, and you're going to stick that under there and then on the top, and then you're going to get some pins and you're just going to pin that together. Oops. The webbing's a bit stiff, so it is a little bit tricky to get the pins in. Okay, it's fine, get them in. And then the same on the other side. Put that under put that piece of webbing under the bag, whatever size you want it to be, and then bring it up there and pin that as well. As much as possible you want to, put your handle in the centre, so you know, equal distance from the edge of the handle to the edge of the bag, and the same on the other side. So we'll just go ahead and pin that on. Okay. Now I like to stitch it with the outside of the bag, which is inside at the moment, because I find that the back of the stitching tends to be quite messy, whereas the top will be nice and smooth. So just try to get a bit of a guide, and first of all just stitch your handles on. So just give a rough stitching on that part to start with, and then we'll go ahead and do the rest of the bag after. Okay, so as long as we get that handle in place, and then we'll just stitch along. I'm just using the width of the foot on my sewing machine. Okay, and then we're just going to take the other pin out. Once we've got these handles on, we'll do quite a bit of stitching where those handles are. You can do the box, so the square and the cross through the centre, just to make sure that you reinforce those handles, and so they won't come undone. So you just keep going around, and then when we get to the other side, you put your handles on the other side as well. Okay, so I've done a complete loop around the bag, and as you can see on the inside, it's quite jaggedy. It's just because this bag is really hard to sew, and on that side you can see it's nice and straight. So that's why I like to do that stitch from there. So on your handle here, what we're going to do is just go backwards and forwards quite a few times over that handle, and then you can turn the bag around. It's a little bit tricky, but you can do it. Turn this around. And we're just going to, I can feel where the edge of that webbing is, so I'm just going to go down to there. Go back again. And then what I'm going to do is just go to the corner diagonally here, just to make that little X, which you often see in bags. You can see that bag's going to stand all by itself, and there you have a nice shopping bag, nice sturdy, and saves you using plastic, because we're all trying to reduce plastic. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.